we have decided that the 500 rupee and 1000 rupee currency notes presently in use will no longer be legal tender from midnight to night.
2016 was a year which no Indian would forget, because on November 8th, our Prime Minister came on TV and announced demonetization of 1000 rupee notes and 500 rupee notes. But wait, there was another significant event that happened in 2016 that shook the entire telecom industry.
This morning, I start with the newest and the youngest member of the Reliance family, Jio. Jio will give the power of data to each Indian.
Reliance Jio was launched on 5th September 2016 with this revolutionary offer to the Indian users. Now, as a part of Jio Welcome offer, users will have access to unlimited data and national voice, video and messaging services free of cost up to December 31st, 2016.
Starting coming Monday, the 5th of September 2016, Jio's data, voice, video and the full bouquet of Jio's application and content will be available for everyone, absolutely free.
Now, it became extremely difficult for rival telecom companies like Bharti Airtel, Vodafone and Idea to retain their customers, as every user wanted to avail these free services Jio offered. And within 6 months, Jio crossed a subscriber count of 100 million users. Now, at this point in 2016, which was called the pre-jio era, Airtel and Vodafone were dominating the space with high data charges but very poor 3G network coverage. Now, Reliance spent a total of 1,50,000 crores on the Jio project to take over the telecom game, and also raised approximately $30 billion into Jio in 2017. But do you think this is sustainable? Handing over freebies to Indian audience? Or do you think Jio in today's market of 2022 is the actual winner? How did the entire competitive landscape change after Jio? Let's find all of that out in today's episode of Connecting the Dots. Stay tuned. Now let's look at the landscape after Jio. Now, do you know that India has the second largest market in the telecom industry by the number of users, thanks to its gigantic mobile using population? And despite this, we only see two major players. Out of this, only Jio thrives, whereas Airtel now manages to compete, and Vodafone India looks into an uncertain future like Kacha Limbu, right? Now, in 2020, this is how the landscape looked like, where we can see that Jio is the clear winner at 35% base and Airtel is sitting at 29% at number 2 position, with Vodafone not far behind at 26%. But in 2022, everything changed. Now here we can see that Jio's subscriber base was the same at 35%. But we saw Airtel catching up and increasing their subscriber base from 29 to 32, while Vodafone lost 3%. Now, how was Airtel able to increase their subscriber count and take the fight directly to Jio? What strategy did they use? Let's break it down and understand what happened to Airtel in 2016 after the Jio announcement. Now, flashback time again. Now, Airtel in 2016 was very different. Now, in 2016, consumers were enjoying this newfound luxury called the internet because of Jio. And on the other hand, people like Airtel and all the telecom companies, their stock prices were going down significantly, right? And most of the giant companies shut down.
The Tata Group is now looking to shut down its loss-making mobile services unit, that's Tata Teleservices, following the failed attempts to find a buyer for the loss-making business.
Now, the crowded telecom space of India now seemed like a deserted battlefield with only 1 or 2 players left. But throughout this brutal telecom war, there was one company that stood still, and that was none other than Airtel.
We were at a point where, it looked like we may lose one more operator after having lost so many already in the last 5 years.
But how did they do that? Airtel not only survived the hurricane bought by Jio in the market, but was also able to move one step forward and, by the way, surpass Jio in many areas. Now, to understand that, we need to understand a little bit more about the telecom business model and what business model did Airtel and Jio build which disrupted the entire telecom space. Let's look at the business model. Now, in the pre-Jio era, companies were focused mainly on calling and texting and very less emphasis on data and connectivity. Now, when Jio came out, they went one step ahead by capturing the entire market with one of the most powerful business strategies in the 21st century. And this was called product service ecosystem. Now, this is a business strategy that was actually introduced by the businessman Steve Jobs. It is a method where companies try to place its products so strategically in the lifestyle of customers that over a course of time, the customer will eventually end up buying products products from the same brand or find it extremely difficult to switch to another brand. Now boss, Jio's ecosystem included everything. They had Jio TV, Jio Cinema, Jio Cloud, Jio Music, Jio Money, a complete integrated ecosystem with the ability to upsell as well. Now telecom companies are basically judged by this metric called ARPU, which is average revenue per user. And in 2016, the opportunities to upsell a customer was very limited because you only had caller tunes and those annoying ringtones, right? Now in the new ecosystem model, telecom companies are able to upsell their existing customers with a lot of different features. Now this is how Steve Jobs categorized the product service ecosystem. First is the entry-level products. Second, we have something known as the retainers. And third, which is what they hit you with, which is called the upsell. Now, in this case, if you have an old iPhone, you are more likely to buy the new iPhone 13, right? Why? Because your phone might have been outdated, but you still want to hold on to the investments that you have, which is your iMessage, your fitness trackers, and most importantly, your habit of UI, which is user interface. Now, if you buy a Jio SIM, you will also be offered Jio TV, and then you will also be offered a Jio broadband connection. But wait, you'll also get a Jio set-top box. Now, if you have all of this, why will you leave your Jio SIM? Now, this was a game changer. But wait, here a question comes up. How did Airtel even have the power to fight such a big ecosystem of Jio? Because Jio had all the time in the world to get this out. And that too, Airtel fought this so fast. Now, how did Airtel transition from a telecom company into an ecosystem company so fast? Now it turns out, boss, that Airtel had already done a good job with its existing services. Now in 2016-17, their DTH service was one of the strongest contenders in the market along with Tata Sky with a market share about 20 to 25%. Now Vodafone and Idea obviously did not have a significant DTH presence, and Videocon had a good DTH presence but did not do well with its mobile customers. Second, they had a very strong hold over enterprise services, which is Airtel's most profitable business venture that contributed 14% to their consolidated revenue in 2020 as well. And third, Airtel was already delivering a far better service to its customers as compared to its rest of the competitors. And last but most important, the foundation for Airtel broadband was already laid out in 2017, where they had 21 lakh connections in place. Now, if we compare this with the rest of the competition, it can be clearly seen that they were severely lagging in multiple aspects compared to Airtel. But wait, Airtel did not stop there. What did Airtel do? They went on a shopping spree. They started acquiring small players like Videocon in 2016.
Bharti Airtel is in a pact with Videocon Telecom to buy spectrum.
Telenor and Tata Services in 2017.
Today has clearly Bharti Airtel, which has hit a fresh 52-week high as well after it announced the acquisition of Telenor India, which will boost Airtel's 4G presence in India.
And this gave them two major benefits. It brought them more spectrum and it prevented Jio from acquiring these companies, and this was Airtel cornering the market. And this is considered as attack number one. Second, they decided to narrow down their focus on only high-value customers, and they imposed a minimum recharge limit.
Bharti Airtel, in fact, has hiked prices for its prepaid plans by 20 to 25%.
Now, because of this, Airtel actually lost 4.8 crore users in December of 2018 itself. But this ended up saving them a lot of resources and started moving towards profitability. And last but most importantly, they started integrating their services to build an ecosystem like Jio. Now, they started offering a set-top box, they started offering a broadband connection, and gave additional access and additional services like Wink Music, and then introduced Airtel Black. Now, after all of this, let's understand something very big happened in 2020 that changed the game again.
आज रात 12 बजे से संपूर्ण देश में संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है.
Now, in 2020, we went into a lockdown. Now, what happened next is what is the special of this video, which is called Connecting the Dots. Now, everyone started working from home and students started taking online classes. Now, these things need high internet connection or else your boss will shout, and that is why the demand for high-speed broadband connections went up. Now, this is the attack 2 by Airtel. Airtel used its first superpower, which was the existing B2B enterprise clients, and offered all the companies to provide all their employees with a high-speed broadband connection, and along with it, it also spent a ton of money and rapidly cornered and partnered with a lot of local cable operators and gave them some mad incentives, and this went down even to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and they started acquiring these broadband customers also. Therefore, it could not give out a free SIM card to get into customers' lifestyle, but Airtel used broadband as an alternative to position an entry-level product into the Airtel ecosystem. In 2020, the number of broadband subscribers grew to 95 lakh, whereas Reliance Jio was only with 17 lakh subscribers, and Airtel and ended up with 70 lakh subscribers. And in 2021, Airtel added almost 59 lakh more wireless subscribers, whereas Jio on the other hand was able to add only 19.5 lakh new subscribers. And the growth rate difference was 300%. Now, as of March 2022, Airtel continued to gain new subscribers and added 2.25 million customers, bringing the total tally to 360 million customers, whereas Jio, after a 3-month decline, gained only 1.26 million subscribers. Now, Airtel closed the fiscal year of 2022 with a revenue of 1,17,000 crores, while it turned its loss of 12,000 crores into a profit of 8,000 crores. And Jio, on the other hand, reported a revenue of 95,000 crores, lower than Airtel, with a profit of 15,500 crores. Now, let's understand what is next for these two players going forward into the 5G era. Now, we are going to see tariff hikes. Airtel, Jio and Vodafone are expected to raise the tariffs as soon as the second half of this fiscal because they want to start applying for the 5G spectrum. And Jio Platforms is now almost investing 15 million into two platforms known as TWO, a Silicon Valley-based deep tech startup by Pranav Mistry. Reliance Jio might also come out with an IPO in the next few years. Now, what will happen after 5G and why is it so important? I'm going to show you a nice diagram which talks about the entire 5G space, where we're going to see tariff hikes, ARPU increase, spectrum auctions, mobile data penetration, and a lot of mobile data consumption. Now, Airtel here obviously cannot manage to rest and be very happy that it has a high active user base, because Jio too also has now identified that they're lagging in a few areas and have started acting accordingly to now come back and win the spectrum sales. Now, if they win the spectrum sales, their quality will also now start improving. Now, in addition to this, the fate of the telecom industry will be decided on the basis of how telcos adapt to 5G. Now, this is very important to see. Now, with the way things are going with Idea struggling to survive, if it fails to raise funds, its customer base will be simply carved up by Airtel and Jio. Both of them will just take off Vodafone's thing. But we also seen the news now that Amazon might be interested in Vodafone, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But what do you think is going to be the future of telecom industry? Do you think the battle is going to be with Airtel versus Jio, or do you think Vodafone is going to make a comeback? I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. And by the way, if you like this Fin story, please give us a like and share. Even if you don't subscribe, it's completely fine. But I want you guys to put in the comments below which is the next company you want me to do a Fin story on, and we will come back and do it for you. This is me, Shashank Udupa, signing off. Take care. Bye.